like a bullet from a gun, it burns. When you realise she was never your girl, it was just your turn. You gotta face your demons, don't matter how much money you earn.
Yo, YouTube, I am back. Slightly different location. I'm actually filming this from Brisbane Airport. It's the 15th of January, 2025, and this is the second episode of Founder Files, where I talk about the week that's been, I talk about the challenges, wins, lessons, and anything that's top of mind for me. So jumping right into it, because I've actually got to board a flight soon. The challenges I faced this week was a couple, but the first one that comes to mind is managing my workload. So my workload was heavier than usual this week. I'm traveling a lot over the next month, and I needed to get as much done as possible before traveling so that I've got a blank canvas leading into the upcoming projects that I'm going to be working on, which just gives me a clear mind and a bit of peace mentally going into the project so that I can be as present as possible. Clearing out some of the projects also just means that it avoids build-up moving forward. You know, they're done. I don't have to think about them moving forward, and I can focus on the task at hand. So that was big for me this week, and whilst it was challenging, it was actually equally rewarding, as my work output and efficiency was probably the best it's been in a while. I'll touch on my weekly workload a little bit later in the video, but a takeaway from this challenge specifically was that of Parkinson's law, which mentions a task will take as long as you give yourself the time to do it. So essentially, work expands to fill the time available for its completion. If you give yourself a week to complete a task that could actually take you 2 hours, you'll find yourself using the whole week. So next time you find yourself allocating time to do a task, remember Parkinson's law, set a mental challenge to yourself to see if you can finish a little bit faster, then prioritize effectively to stay productive. So that was my first challenge. Moving on to the second challenge of the week, it was actually splitting my focus. So I found myself heavily geared this week towards a lot of hands-on editing tasks and doing projects for founders. And naturally, this led to me feeling like I'd fallen behind on the second part of my life and my business in general, which is the studio, which is my main source of income at the moment. For context, I have a studio in Perth called That Content Place, and aside from that, I also work with founders to create founder-led content for their personal brands. So in terms of managing the studio, for me, that looks like running the socials, website updates, planning promos in advance. For example, next month in February, we've got a concept that's going to be specific and relevant to gym owners and gym goers and PTs and fitness brands, etc. So that's going to be happening. So that's something I've been working on. And also just general admin tasks such as studio maintenance, customer service, bookkeeping, etc. And yeah, due to my workload, I leaned away from these tasks a little bit this week. So a note to myself is to dedicate specific time each week or a day to actually complete these tasks. I've always been okay at time management, but I'm aware that growth requires change. So especially over the next month, I'll be practicing time blocking. Not only scheduling time in my calendar to complete certain work tasks, but also scheduling time for thought and for reflection. So that's a couple of the challenges I faced this week, but overall, as I'll touch on a little bit later, challenges are good. They're invited, and I don't think business would be business without challenges. Moving on to the win of the week. The first win is that my work output was massively efficient. And this is an interesting one because I think it almost contradicts my previous point of having a lot of work to do, but it actually made me realize the challenge is the reward. Having a lot to do and setting mental deadlines to complete the projects resulted in my output being massively efficient. And whilst there's always going to be more to do, I actually completed a lot. And it's all things, again, I'm really proud of. So to give context, here's what I did this week, just gone. To give you some numbers and statistics around what an efficient week looks like for me. So I edited 3 YouTube videos, 2 for founders, 1 for myself, 7 pieces of short form content. I finished 85% of photo and video edits for a launch campaign for an e-commerce brand that I shot. And I also did a half-day shoot for a founder's upcoming YouTube video. So it was a pretty busy week. Another win this week was diving deeper into my 2025 plan. I'm using a goal setting sheet that I got from Nav, which you can get. I'll link it in the description below and I'll leave it on the screen somewhere here. But I didn't really take much of a break through the holiday period. Instead, I just chose to work through. I had a lot on at the time, so it made sense to do so. And it's been nice to reflect on 24 and see what went well, what didn't go so well, and really start to consider what I want out of the new year, 2025, and what I want to achieve moving forward. So if you're still thinking about your goals for the new year, I recommend doing what I did and taking time for yourself. Take yourself out for lunch, take yourself on a solo coffee date, whatever it is, but get clear on the year ahead using a goal setting sheet like the one I've used, where you reflect first and then set goals as you move forward, or something similar. And also, I think the biggest thing to take away from this is that once your goals are set, don't let them become a passing thought. Schedule in a monthly meeting with yourself or take yourself out for lunch once a month and reflect on the goals. Actively pursue the path towards them, because without that, you're just working aimlessly with no direction. And another small but not to be overlooked win is I treated myself. Starting a business is a scary thing to do, and it comes with a lot of sacrifice. So this week I had a pretty good revenue week on the business front. So to enforce a positive feedback loop, I gave back to me for my efforts, for my persistence, and the courage to actually believe in myself and start my business. So for me, that came in the form of a $100 pair of Sebagos, or Sebagos, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Essentially, it's a shoe. I'm wearing it right now, so I'll show you. These $100 pair of shoes. I got them from Marketplace. A simple pleasure by all means, but off the back of a practice that holds a lot of power. I also reinvested into my skill set, being content creation, and I purchased myself a new lens. I've been shooting a lot recently, so I decided to upgrade, and I got myself the 16 to 35mm G Master for the FX3. And yeah, I think it's, as a business owner or a young entrepreneur, you need to celebrate yourself. Celebrate the small wins when things go right, and just create a positive feedback loop, because doing that is a very powerful practice. And I think you'll find that it won't take long before you find yourself obsessed with winning, because with winning comes rewards. All right, so let's jump into the lesson of the week. The lesson of the week this week is find pleasure in the pursuit. And coming back to setting goals should never be a one-time task. Instead, gamify goal setting. There's a better version of you and your life on the other side of the goals you set. You can either level up during the pursuit, or you can stay the same by doing the same things. So for me, what I want someone to take away from this is set milestones, check-ins, and consistently hold yourself accountable whilst chasing the goals. Reward yourself along the way, especially for the small wins, because they're the wins that compound the most, and they're a key factor in achieving your desired outcome. Don't be the person that sets a goal, writes it down, and doesn't look back at it again until the end of the year. Instead, set your goals, live them, actually live them every single day, and find pleasure in the pursuit. Moving on to a thought of the week. My thought this week was actually about thoughts itself, and the only power our thoughts hold is the power that we give to them. To me, thoughts are like clouds. They come, they go. Sometimes they can bring rain, storms, even emptiness. And other times, the skies will clear and it lets the sun shine through. And I think thoughts all depend on the attention we give them. I read a book called As a Man Thinketh, which is something I recommend everybody reads. And it states, good thoughts, they're good fruit. Bad thoughts, bad fruit. For me, your mind and your thoughts are the most powerful tool, but they can also be your most dangerous weapon. So it's very important to take control of what you think and hold a lot of consciousness around what you allow yourself to put in your own mouth. Something I want to do this week is tell you about my goals for the week moving forward. I've set a couple of goals and I want to share them with you now. And the idea behind this is for me to stack simple wins which will lead to the greater good. So my goals for this week, very simple, but again, I think very powerful. And the two goals I've set for this week is one, to reread Make Your Bed, which is a great book. And the second one is to schedule in 2 weeks worth of content for the studio's Instagram. Again, two very simple tasks to some it may seem, but I think sometimes the smallest of tasks can kickstart the biggest of wins. So yeah, they're my goals for this week, and I encourage you to drop your goals for the week in the comments below. But that's all from me. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next one.